Welcome back, everyone, to Bookcast. Have you ever thought about starting a business, but kind of felt intimidated by the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. That's super common.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown, all the things that could go wrong, it can be paralyzing.
For sure. Taking that first step can feel like a huge risk.
And that's where today's deep dive comes in. We're going to be talking about $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan. And it's a book that kind of lays out a plan for launching a successful business in just one weekend.
It's definitely ambitious. But Kagan's approach is all about action, instead of getting bogged down in planning forever.
So less thinking, more doing. I like that.
Exactly. He even has this challenge in the book: secure 3 paying customers within 48 hours, like a test to see if your idea actually has legs.
Wow, 48 hours. That's put on the pressure. Why such a short time frame?
Well, it forces you to get out of your head and into the real world. Instead of just theorizing, you're talking to real customers, getting feedback, and making changes quickly.
And I'm guessing those conversations probably involve some rejection, too.
Oh, absolutely. Kagan actually encourages people to seek out rejection.
Really? That seems counterintuitive.
I know. But every no you get helps you refine your pitch. You learn what objections people have, and it gets you closer to a yes.
So it's about turning those rejections into learning experiences, building resilience. I like that. There's also this idea of initiator's bravery that Kagan talks about. That seems really relevant to anyone who's hesitant to start something new.
Yeah, initiator's bravery is all about realizing that the hardest part is often just starting, taking that first step, even if it's small.
It's like hitting publish on a project you've been working on forever, overcoming that initial hurdle.
Exactly. It's about building momentum, but making sure that momentum is going in the right direction.
So how do you do that?
Well, Kagan really emphasizes understanding your customers. Their needs come first.
So it's not about being married to your own brilliant idea. It's about solving a problem for someone else.
You got it. He uses this great example in the book, Anahita, who started a successful dog treat business. She didn't start with a product. She saw a problem that pet owners were having, not enough healthy treat options, and then she created a solution.
That's a perfect example of focusing on the customer. But how do you go beyond just assumptions and actually know if your idea is good? How do you make sure people will actually pay for it?
Kagan says you got to get real commitments, not just casual feedback. He wants people to put their money where their mouth is. Pre-orders, down payments, things like that.
So actions speak louder than words. What are some ways to get those commitments?
You can use platforms like Kickstarter landing pages to gauge interest and just talking directly to potential customers. It's about testing the waters before you invest a ton of time and money.
So $1 Million Weekend is about having a plan to see if your idea is viable. I'm seeing a theme here. Action validation and focusing on the customer. Okay, so let's say you've validated your idea. You have some customers. What comes next?
Building a loyal audience. Kagan comes from a marketing background, and he says it's super important to understand what makes you unique, what value you offer.
So figure out your niche, your expertise, and how that connects with your target audience.
Exactly. And then choose the right platform to reach them. Kagan knows there are tons of options, social media, blogging, podcasts, but he says pick one that plays to your strengths and where your audience already is.
Be strategic. Don't just follow trends. Kagan talks about some success stories in the book, right?
He does. There's Kyle Lasota, who built a big community around biohacking on YouTube. He found his people by sharing his knowledge on a platform that worked for him and resonated with his audience.
Find your people, deliver value consistently, and the audience will come. Speaking of delivering value, Kagan's a big fan of email marketing, right?
Absolutely. He might seem old school, but email is still a powerful way to build relationships and turn those relationships into sales.
So it's about nurturing those connections and eventually guiding your audience towards becoming paying customers. What are some of Kagan's tips for using email effectively?
He says, offer something valuable to get people to sign up for your email list. A free ebook, exclusive content, early access to products. It's about giving them a reason to give you their email address.
And once they're on your list, how do you keep them engaged?
Kagan suggests sending targeted email campaigns. Deliver valuable content, share your expertise, and ultimately guide them towards a purchase. It's about building trust over time.
So email isn't about bombarding people with sales pitches. It's about building a relationship based on trust and value. We've talked a lot about strategy, but I'm guessing Kagan wouldn't want us to get stuck in the planning phase forever.
You're right. He's all about experimentation. In marketing and business as a whole, trying things out, seeing what works, and adjusting based on the results.
So be flexible, be willing to change course. It's about continuous learning.
Exactly. And that experimental mindset applies to more than just marketing. Kagan wants us to apply it to our entire businesses. He talks about setting ambitious but achievable goals and making sure those goals are aligned with our personal aspirations.
So it's not just about building a successful business, but about building a life you love, a life that reflects your values.
Exactly. Kagan encourages entrepreneurs to think about the impact they want to make, the legacy they want to leave behind.
Those are big questions,
Yeah.
but they're important. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passion, your skills, and your values all come together.
Absolutely. And Kagan believes that when you're truly passionate about your work and it aligns with your core values, you're more motivated and resilient. You can handle the challenges better.
Those long hours and tough times feel more worthwhile because you're building something you believe in, something that's meaningful to you.
Exactly. And that authenticity attracts the right people. Customers, collaborators, people who share your vision.
It's a win-win. You're building a business you're proud of, and you're attracting people who connect with your mission. But how do you take those big aspirations and turn them into action?
Kagan suggests breaking down those big annual goals into smaller steps. Quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, even daily tasks.
Creating a roadmap, a step-by-step plan to make those dreams a reality.
Exactly. And he says it's important to write those goals down. Keep them visible. Review them regularly. This helps you stay focused and motivated.
It keeps you connected to the big picture, even when you're working on those smaller day-to-day tasks.
Absolutely. And speaking of staying motivated, Kagan also talks about celebrating your wins along the way.
Yes. It's easy to get so focused on what's left to do that we forget to acknowledge our progress. Celebrating those wins, even the small ones, can really boost your morale.
It's about shifting your perspective, focusing on what you've accomplished. Kagan encourages entrepreneurs to take the time to reflect on their wins, no matter how small they may seem.
It's about building positive momentum and recognizing that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction.
Now, while building momentum and celebrating wins is essential, Kagan also delves into the practical aspects of staying productive and achieving those goals.
So what are some of his productivity tips?
He's a big believer in having a structured routine. He suggests creating a daily schedule that includes dedicated time for work, exercise, personal time, and anything else that's important to you.
So finding a rhythm that works for you and sticking to it as much as possible helps create predictability and stability.
Especially when you're juggling all the demands of a growing business.
Right. He knows that every day won't be perfect, but having that routine in place helps you stay grounded and focused. Another key tip he offers is to prioritize your tasks effectively.
So figure out the most important tasks, the ones that will have the biggest impact on your business, and focus your energy on those first. How do you know what to prioritize?
Kagan suggests using a system like the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a tool that helps you categorize tasks based on their urgency and importance. It gives you a framework for making decisions about where to focus your time and energy. We talked earlier about accountability. Kagan talks about finding a prefluencer to help guide you. What's a prefluencer, and how can they help you succeed?
A prefluencer, as Kagan describes it, is someone who's achieved some success in your industry or a related field, but they're not a huge influencer yet, someone who's a few steps ahead of you on the path.
They're relatable, they face similar challenges, and they can give you practical advice based on their experience.
Exactly. Their insights are fresh, their struggles are relatable, and they're not so far removed from the day-to-day reality of building a business that their advice feels out of touch.
It's like having a mentor who understands your situation and can offer relevant support.
Exactly. Now, besides finding mentors and prefluencers, Kagan also encourages entrepreneurs to leverage their existing networks, friends, family, former colleagues, anyone who might be able to offer support advice, or even just spread the word about your business.
Sometimes we get so focused on finding new customers that we forget about the valuable network we already have.
Absolutely. Sometimes those closest to us can be our biggest supporters. Kagan also reminds us to seek feedback, even if it's not always positive. He believes in embracing constructive criticism as a chance to learn and grow.
That can be tough, especially when you've put so much of yourself into your work.
It can, but Kagan says no one's perfect. We can all improve. He suggests asking for feedback from a variety of sources, customers, mentors, advisors, to get a well-rounded perspective.
That's a good point. Different perspectives can help you see things you might have missed. And lastly, tying back to initiators' bravery, Kagan encourages entrepreneurs to see failure as a learning opportunity, not a setback. So it's about changing your mindset from "I failed" to "What can I learn from this?"
Exactly. Kagan points out that every successful entrepreneur has faced setbacks and failures along the way. It's how they learned, adapted, and ultimately achieved their goals.
It's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, with stepping outside your comfort zone and embracing the unknown.
He's right. He wants us to understand our income and expenses, create realistic budgets, and track our progress closely.
So it's not just about making money. It's about managing it responsibly, making sure your business is financially healthy.
Exactly. What are some practical tips Kagan offers for managing money?
Well, he says have separate bank accounts for business and personal finances. Use accounting software to track everything, and don't be afraid to get advice from a financial expert. He also says it's important to have an emergency fund, a financial cushion to help you through tough times.
So be prepared for the unexpected.
Right, have a plan and a safety net to help you weather those storms. Kagan also talks about pricing your products or services correctly.
That's a tricky one for a lot of entrepreneurs, finding that balance between making a profit and not scaring away customers.
Right, you need to charge enough to stay in business, but not so much that people go elsewhere.
He gives you a framework for figuring out your pricing based on the value you offer, your target market, and your competitors. He says research your industry, understand your costs, and try different pricing models to see what works best.
So find a pricing strategy that fits your business goals, your target market, and your overall value proposition.
Building a business is about more than just numbers. It's about people, relationships, making a positive impact.
It's about finding your purpose. What drives you? What keeps you going when things get tough?
Exactly. And that purpose often comes from aligning your business with your values, with your vision for the world.
Building a business that reflects who you are and contributes to something bigger than yourself.
He wants entrepreneurs to think about their impact on their community, on the environment, on the world as a whole.
Building a business you can be proud of. A business that makes a difference.
And when you have that purpose, that desire to make a positive impact, it gives your work meaning. It inspires people.
It attracts the right people. Customers, employees, collaborators, people who believe in what you're doing.
Exactly. Now, we've talked about a lot of different things. Validating your idea, managing your money, aligning your business with your personal goals. But there's one last thing I want to mention from $1 Million Weekend. Kagan is a big believer in continuous learning and personal growth. As an entrepreneur, you need to keep learning and growing.
So it's not just about building a business. It's about building yourself. Becoming a better leader, a better problem solver, a better person.
Exactly. Kagan says entrepreneurship is a journey of self-discovery. You face your limitations, you embrace your strengths, and you're constantly trying to improve.
It's about having a growth mindset, believing that you can always learn and get better, no matter what challenges you face.
And he gives practical advice for developing that growth mindset. Read books, go to workshops, connect with mentors, do things that push you outside your comfort zone.
We've talked about so much already. Kagan's approach to starting a business, customer focus, aligning your business with your personal goals. Now, as we wrap up, what are some of the big takeaways listeners can apply to their own businesses?
Well, one of the things that really stands out in the book is the importance of taking action. Kagan's all about doing. Testing your ideas in the real world and adjusting based on what you learn. It's about getting out of your head and actually trying things.
So don't get stuck in the planning phase forever. Just get started, even if it's not perfect.
Exactly. Learn as you go. And that ties into another key takeaway. Embracing failure as a learning experience. Kagan wants us to see setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow.
So every successful entrepreneur has probably had some failures along the way.
Oh, definitely. And those failures often teach you the most valuable lessons.
It's not about avoiding failure altogether, but about learning from it and becoming more resilient.
Exactly. It's about having that growth mindset. Another important takeaway is the focus on customers. Kagan says you have to understand their needs, address their pain points, build real relationships. That's how you build a successful business.
It's about putting the customer first, creating solutions that actually make their lives better.
Exactly. He says you should always be getting feedback, talking to your customers, and using that feedback to improve your products, your services, your whole business.
Your customers are your most valuable resource. Their insights can help you build something amazing.
Absolutely. And lastly, I think one of the most powerful messages in the book is about aligning your business with your personal aspirations. It's not just about making money. It's about building a business that fits your values, your passions, your vision for your life.
Finding that sweet spot where your skills, your interests, and your purpose all come together.
Exactly. Kagan wants us to ask ourselves, what kind of impact do I want to make? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind?
It's about more than just financial success. It's about creating something meaningful, something that makes a difference.
And when you're driven by that purpose, that desire to make a positive impact, your work becomes more than just a job. It becomes a mission.
So $1 Million Weekend isn't just a business book. It's a life design book.
I think so. It's about creating a life you love, a life that's both successful and fulfilling.
We've covered a lot of ground in these 3 parts, but there's so much more in the book.
Definitely. Lots of practical advice, inspiring stories, actionable strategies.
So if you're thinking about starting a business, or you're already on your journey, pick up a copy of $1 Million Weekend and see what resonates with you.
For those who are feeling inspired, what's one small step they can take today to move closer to their goals?
Kagan talks about that ideal year exercise. Remember, take some time to visualize what you want your life to look like a year from now. What does success mean to you? And then what's one small action you can take today to make that vision a reality?
It's all about starting somewhere, taking that first step.
Every journey begins with a single step.
Exactly.
So take that step. Let us know in the comments what action you're taking to move closer to your dreams. We love hearing from you.
Your insights and experiences are valuable to us and to the whole Bookcast community.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into $1 Million Weekend. We'll see you next week with another great book to help you on your journey.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep chasing those dreams.